Welcome to Kidmissing TV. Well, I promised everyone Kimberly Moreau today, and I'm going to deliver on that, even though when I looked at my calendar, I realized I was incorrect. On May 11th, 1986, the day of the prom, Kimberly Moreau vanished in the town of Jay, Maine. Jay, Maine is a small mill town, like many New England towns. Its major employer was the paper mill. And it was a small New England town. Nothing ever happened in Jay, Maine. Until it did. Kim left with a girlfriend and two men in a Grand Am, which is a Pontiac. On that night, she had gotten into a fight with her boyfriend before, and she had broken up with him, so they decided not to go to the prom together. She decided to forego it altogether. Kim was 16. I have had the privilege of talking to her father on my radio show. I have talked to her sister Diane, to her sister Karen especially. Karen and I started her Facebook group, which I will link in the description. Kimberly Moreau, missing from Jay, Maine. There are so many twists and turns in this case. Her girlfriend that she was with that night, eventually moved to California and was killed in a hit and run. Two of the men potentially involved in I believe two of them, are deceased. One recently from drugs. Him and his girlfriend died within weeks of each other. Let's see. Another one died a while ago. And we have one left as a potential suspect. Still in the area. I mean, his parents' property has been searched. His property has been searched. If you ask my family, he didn't do anything. They know him personally. One of the prime persons of interest in the case. My mother, my aunt, and believe me, they spent hours talking about it and reminiscing about the time period, the area, because they were from Livermore Falls, which is the next town over. And when I say the next town over, okay, we're talking, my grandmother was living in elderly housing in Livermore Falls. We literally went down the street. You could have walked to this place, to a pharmacy, and I went in to get her prescription because I was an adult. And it was in Jay. We were in Jay, like 2 minutes down the road. Same thing when my grandfather died. We were in Jay, 2 minutes down the road. It's right there. Two of them are still alive. Two people who might know something. The man that was driving the car that night was a man named Enman. And he has no criminal record in the state of Maine. He claims he dropped Kim off at the end of her street in Jay. The problem is Kim was terrified of the dark and wouldn't have walked down her street in the pitch dark, which it would have been because there were no street lights. And the other man, Darren Jodrey, like I said, died of an overdose just recently, within the year. And his girlfriend died within weeks of him. Plus, it was cold outside. Even though it was May, you have to remember, this is Maine, and it was early May. So it probably was fairly cold out. Her father reiterated the fact that she was afraid of the dark and mentioned that it was cold that night. Well, you may say it's May 11th. What do you mean cold? It's also Maine. I have literally been up to Maine Memorial Day weekend, maybe even 4th of July weekend, and on the side of the highway, just clumps here and there on the side of the highway, there was still snow, unmelted snow. I kid you not. Maine is ridiculous. I think it was more like Memorial Day, but yeah, that's the way Maine is. Here on May 11th, if you're lucky, it can be anywhere from a high 50s all the way up to broiling. So, and I'm in Massachusetts. But at night, it's going to be cooler. It is always cooler here at night. Unless we're having a horrible heat wave and the heat doesn't break for whatever reason. Generally, the heat breaks at night here. And in Maine, if they have any heat. They don't really have the humidity that we have here. Believe me, I've spent a lot of time up there. In 2013, Jodrey was arrested by the Maine DEA, the Maine Drug Enforcement Agency, for selling cocaine to 4 men from Mexico, Maine. Also a place that my mother and aunt knew well because they went to Mexico High School when they lived in Byron, population 80. Of course, in Maine, in certain parts of Maine, they had regionalized schools. And Mexico was one of those schools. It's funny because the article says, note, Mexico is a town in Maine, meaning not the country. Maine is a unique state in that it has a town or city named for just about every country in the world. It's a little piece of trivia my mother taught me. Nobody's sure if Enman was in the car or if Enman and Jodrey or Jodrey was in the car. Oh, not a Grand Am, a Trans Am. Still a Pontiac, I believe. Nope, it's a Chevy, I think. Trying to channel my dad here. There was an article in 2015 entitled Questions Churn in Kim Moreau Disappearance. Her friend that was killed in a hit and run was Rhonda Breton. Breton. Kim was a junior at Jay High School and Rhonda was a senior. Okay. They ran into the two 25-year-olds in the Trans Am, Brian Enman and Darren Jodrey. At 11 p.m., Darren went to work, supposedly. The car pulled up in front of Kim's home on Jewel Street. She told her sister Karen she was going out for an hour or so and she would be back. There were rumors of a big drinking party that night. That wouldn't be uncommon. It was prom night. Her father said, quote, "We've heard stories every which way. I can't find anybody that absolutely says she was there," meaning at the party. "The one that could have told us, and she's dead, is her girlfriend, Rhonda Breton." Um, he does not. He does believe that Kim may have died accidentally, her father, and that the people she was with didn't set out to kill her. He also believes his daughter died not long after leaving home for the final time. "I would stake my life that within 4 hours of the time she left home, she was dead," her father said. How absolutely horrible. Kimberly's mother had died of cancer not long before, no, a little bit after Kim vanished. She was diagnosed not long before all this happened. Um, so she never got answers. Well, I guess she did in heaven. And Dick Moreau is still around. He is in his 80s now and deserves to be able to place his daughter with his late beloved wife. And her sisters, Karen and Diane, deserve answers. And if you think you might have those answers, I don't have a phone number. What? Well, you can go to our Facebook page or call. Thought I had a phone number here. The Maine State Police. Anyway, even her sister says, "I think my sister died accidentally and they covered up her death." Well, if she died accidentally, why don't they come out and say it and give them the body back? I know the family doesn't want to think something horrible happened to her, as far as like homicide or what the heck ever, but to not come forward almost 40 years. Let's see, 1986. 30 what? Okay, so 2026 will be 40 years, so 38 years later. To still not come forward? Even if it was an accident and you hit a body or you did something accidental, hit her with your car or whatever it was, guess what? The statute of limitations is up because it's not murder. Tell the family where her body is. Please. I'm talking directly to the people who are still alive who know. And there are people who know. People talk. Even if you want to remain anonymous. Now what I'd like to do is, first of all, thank Crimes Forgotten by Time. And I want to ask her if she would please do a video on this case. I would be willing to help her out, give her information on the area. But I would just love to see one of her animations of Kim's picture, where they slowly move. They're beautiful. and her touch-ups of the pictures, they're just beautiful. And I would love to see her do that for Kim. And maybe even for Kathy Moulton, which would be wonderful. You know, I work with Kim's family, and you know, every once in a while the chat for the group will come up, and I'll click on it and hope there's something. The latest news about it was actually just this year, when a body was found in Jay. Unfortunately, the body was that of a male, so it was not Kimberly. We were all hoping, but it was a male. We don't know who John Doe was yet, but thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Actually, there's a phone number on the poster. I'm an idiot. I forgot about that. That was made for me by a group I used to work with. And that's the poster that you see next to my head. So you can call that number. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I will see you Friday for a Doe Friday. Bye, guys. I hope you're enjoying New England November.